Now, let me tell you something. Angel, you distracted me so much. You distracted me. We
I'm
are
so
live, but
sorry.
I'm going to say this. You distracted me so much that I normally don't start my show like this. I am going to do the proper thing right this minute. I'm going
All right.
I am
Sounds
going
good.
to do the proper thing right this minute. You see, all these Frenchmen, people, listen to me carefully. Tip number one, don't have a Frenchman with you. He distracts you. He distracts you. Okay. Why is my mic muted? Hey
Hi.
everyone. This is not you, Angel. This is this is Corine Lapo. Listen to me. You see this man? Look at him carefully. Look how gorgeous he is. He is
Thank you.
distracting me. He is distracting me from my usual procedure. Now this is Corine Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host and favorite girl, of course, broadcasting to you from the lovely island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean on Between the Lines. And you know how we do it here on Between the Lines, with gratitude, with thankfulness. I am so thankful to be here. I am so thankful to have this gorgeous man with longer hair than me next to me on my show today. Can you imagine a man with longer hair than me on my show? Besides that, this man, I want to thank him for distracting me, starting my show late, starting my show wrong. I'm thanking him for that. So I know I'm not having another Frenchman on my show again. Not okay. I am not having it anymore. None at all. Okay? He set a trend and it ain't happening again. Now let me tell you. Let me
Maybe
tell you.
they're
And
not
to
all
me,
like me. Just saying.
hello, I watch the movies and they're all like you. I'm trusting what the
Oh, okay.
movies say.
If it's in the movies, it can only be correct, right?
And let me tell you what we're talking about. Everything in French sounds better. Can you imagine? Everything in French sounds better. So if you're having a bad day, it doesn't matter. Just say something in French. No, you could be cussing yourself. You could be saying anything. Just say it in French, and your day will just have sunshine in it. I promise you, everything in French sounds better. Okay? You wouldn't want to know the words that I know in French. I was just on this man's podcast, and I just taught him a few words in French. And he encouraged me. He encouraged me to say it, yes. Just be careful, who I say it to. But you know me, I'm not
Yeah.
careful. I am going to go about and tell everybody. So here's my French words that I know. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? I will repeat it for those who don't understand French. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Now, Angel is going to respond to that. But before we do that, I am going to tell you a bit about Angel. I call him Angel because he's on my show, okay? But his name is actually, how do you pronounce it?
Angèle. But
Angel.
many people call me Angel. That's fine. It's okay.
And he looks like an angel with that hair.
Oh.
Okay. So let me tell you. So Angela Pretot is a French learning coach and online entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Through his coaching and courses, he helps English speakers like myself learn French fast. Clearly, I need the help. Become fluent and live a truly international life. After a master's degree and 15 years of teaching and coaching French learners, he is still obsessed with improving the methods he uses. He loves seeing his students learn faster and better and create wonderful French lives for themselves. He's speaking to me. Other than that, he's an actual Frenchman. Can you tell? Look how beautiful he looks. Who loves cheese, coming from a monolingual French family who's still wondering what's wrong with him. Nothing is wrong with you. Moving abroad and learning 5 languages to fluency. He now lives in Vienna, Austria, as if being French wasn't enough. He's living in Vienna, Austria. And he has been through all the expat struggles only with German. People, let us welcome this beautiful Frenchman, Angèle Pretot.
Thank you. Amazing introduction. I'm speechless, which is bad on a podcast.
Angèle, everything sounds good in French. How was my French at the beginning? Was it good?
It is great. It is absolutely great. And yeah, you pronounce it perfectly. I would say people will understand what you said, which is why I recommended to you to be careful, because I mean, if they wouldn't understand, you would not head into trouble. But like, I mean, in case any of the viewers are not aware, it means, do you want to sleep with me? And that's why I told you that you just need to find out, like, just be sure you say it to the right person. Because if you go out and say that to someone you're not into, problems might ensue. So just,
I think that's what I want to happen. I want that to happen, problems. Let me see their reaction when I walk up to them. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Well, they might have an overly positive reaction that you might not want to have. I'm just saying, you're a woman, it's risky out there.
I'll have you by my side. I'll have you by my side, right there, to make sure I'm well protected. Your name is Angel. After all, your name is Angel. You have to live up to the name.
True. Absolutely. True. And I mean, it's my pride also as a coach to do my best to accompany my client in the struggles that they have with French. And I also always in my work insist so much on how important it is to learn just the French that you need to accomplish what you are seeking to accomplish.
I like how you stress just enough that I need.
Yes. So, I mean, for my clients, it can be a lot more than just one sentence. Because they are diplomats or they are living in France, or they are in international business, or they have a business project in France. Like I have some of my clients who have bought houses and even castles in France, and then of course they have to have great level of French to manage those houses and sometimes renovate and whatnot they have to do. Or I have people who are diplomats who work in Africa, peace builders, for example. Like the skills that they need are vastly different from each other. But it doesn't matter to me because it's just my job. Well, I mean, it does matter to me, but it does not make a difference in the sense that it is my job to tailor their curriculum to them. That is for the people that I work one-on-one with. I also have a group program, and then we are more relaxed, and it's more of a general, a bit more general, but also in the group coaching calls, the people get to speak about the topics that are interested to them. And that's really like, if I were to say the number one focus on my job is selecting what is important. Like I have a method which is in 4 steps, and the first step is always selection. Like because you could learn French for decades, and unfortunately people do, and not be able to speak it in any of the real life situations that you will encounter just because you have learned the wrong things, and that is a terrible waste of time. So to circle back to your sentence, perhaps all you want is to have interesting experiences in France,
of course,
and to just meet people and hook up with them. And if that is your goal, that is perfectly fine. And
thank you very much.
Great. And you might just manage to do it with just this one sentence.
Th-
Now,
that's all
perhaps
I
I would
need.
teach you a couple more sentences for like the actual process that you make sure that it goes smoothly. But yeah, it's all
Thank you very
about
much.
targeting the skills that you need.
And that's it. One
Yeah,
sentence is all I need.
if
Okay?
that's what you need,
That's
that's good.
it.
I also
Right?
always tell people that if you were to use like the most profitable French word that you can learn is bonjour, and it's
Is
just
what?
one word. Bonjour. It means hello, literally
Oh,
good day.
bonjour. Okay,
Right,
okay.
bonjour. And it's good to learn to pronounce it like in a way that the French actually will understand it. And the
Hmm.
reason why it's the most important French word is because if you walk up to a French person and you do not start the conversation with bonjour, they will think that you're rude. And then they
Well,
will not
look
be
at.
very likely to help you. While if you start the conversation with bonjour, even if you go bonjour, do you speak English?
Hmm.
They will immediately feel more like helping you just
Oh.
because you greeted them. And this
Okay,
is
I
a
get you.
rule of French culture, which is
Okay,
super
okay.
important.
So here what? Here what? I'm going to start. Bonjour. Voulez-vous
Yes,
coucher avec moi?
that is very polite. That is amazing. You will
Thank
get
you.
so many positive answers with
Oh
that.
my God.
Yeah.
I see you have a lot of love here. Let me show you. LaRue 6358. I don't know who that is, but
Oh,
please,
that's Linda.
please tell me what he or she is saying.
She says, c'est vrai. That is true. It is true.
Ooh, all
Yes.
right. And she's here again and said something about the A. So something you were saying that she's validating.
Well, it
Okay.
was maybe about me being beautiful or something.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't remember what you were saying at the beginning. You said lots of things.
right. And Pamela Serrato, if I'm
Oh,
pronouncing it,
yes.
everything sounds better with Angela.
Hi,
In any
Pamela.
language he speaks, he's amazing. Listen to me. Let me tell you something. He's on my show, you know. And right now, he's all mine. Okay, let me just tell you.
I feel like I have a fan club now.
That's right. Because you should see how fast and furious these comments are coming in. He's all mine. Okay? He's
Yeah, I
all
can't
mine.
actually see the comments. Only the ones that you put on the screen I can see. But yeah,
Right. Yeah.
I'm in the dark here. Oh, wait.
Okay.
If I click on here, oh, right, I can see the chat now. Cool.
Right.
That's a lot of
Uh,
messages.
Yes, it's a lot of energy. Right? And LaRue is also saying, silly me, I thought it was what? Say, come in now, Angela. What is that?
I'm I'm confused. Which? Oh, I thought it was où sont les toilettes? Oh,
What is that?
where's the toilet? Like
Where is the toilet?
where is the bathroom? Yeah.
Okay, so we are
Place.
learning. We're learning a few things today, but the
We're
first thing
learning
is
French here.
bonjour. She did
It's true
not
that
say
this is
bonjour.
important. Yes,
She did not
if
say
you
bonjour.
say you walk up to someone, you go où sont les toilettes, even if you say it perfectly, it will really depend on how gracious the person is. And with the French, it's really hit or miss. They are not that gracious. So I would really recommend going with bonjour, où sont les toilettes? That you will
Yes.
have
Oh,
such many more chances to pee in peace if you start with bonjour.
I already have my plan. Bonjour, voulez-vous coucher avec moi? And shut your mouth after that. And that's it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, then they
Just
will
me
probably
is.
say we and yeah. Because we is yes. You need to
Of
do your
course,
yes
I
or
know
no.
that.
Yeah.
I know
Right,
we.
right, right.
I know
Yes.
we, of course.
Perfect.
And I'd be like, let's, how do you say let's go?
Allons-y.
What?
Allons-y. That would be let's go.
Alonzi. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay.
See, it's all about learning the skill that you need for that one situation. And honestly,
That's
like
all.
we are being playful, but this is literally what I do with my clients. Typically, their situations are a bit more elaborate and it's a bit less of a jokey mood, but this is the same process.
So I'm French because my name
Yes.
is Corine Lafont. You're French.
Yes.
And let's talk about, and I can see that we're going to go past the 15 minutes. We're already past the 15 minutes.
That's
But
fine
that's
with me.
okay. That's okay. It's my show. And I have you here
Yes.
with me. I can spend as much time as I want with you. So
Oh, wow.
so here's the thing. Why does everything sound good in French? Why?
Well, the thing is, you said it, not me. I am really someone who insists on the fact that no culture is better than another one.
Hmm.
That it is really important to like perceive the cultures as equal because otherwise that's when you get into like things like nationalism, racism, and all the isms that you don't want.
I'm biased.
Um,
I'm biased, Angela. I
but
love French.
there
Okay?
is
Give
right
it
there
to me.
is a
Give it to
certain
me.
idea that like things sound good in French. I've also heard people say that everything sounds bad in German. And then I live in Vienna, and people speak German here, and I have lived 4 years in Germany as well, and it's true. Unfortunately, like in Germany, it's worse. Just people,
It
and
sounds
I lived in
rough.
Berlin,
It
and
sounds it sounds it sounds
it sounds rough, especially in
in it
Berlin. It's bad over there. Like I mean,
it's like it's so coarse. Why can't they just be smooth and soft?
it doesn't have to be honest. If like if you take for example a woman who is speaking softly in German, it can be very adorable and endearing and sexy. But yeah, it's true that unfortunately they most of the time don't have the attitude. And I would say that like what makes a language sexy or attractive or just sounding good comes more from the attitude of the person than from the language itself,
True.
because you can make French sound horrible, but it can be that
True.
there's a certain tendency in fiction in particular to
Mm,
romanticize the French language,
true. True.
and to just that there would be a bias towards selecting not what sounds good but the attitude or the tone of voice that sounds good.
You're absolutely right. And you know why I believe you? You know why I believe you? Because when people listen to me speak, and I can just tell you when people what people say about me. When people listen to me
Mm-hmm.
speak, even on the phone, they haven't met me. It might be an
Yeah.
error call, or they call me and they're like, I just love the way you speak. You have such a
Yes.
beautiful voice. And I'm like, okay. I have done voiceovers for ads and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. People love my voice. I
Yeah.
have
Sounds
done
great.
I have done online courses for a client using my voice, created everything. And he's like, Corine, I just want your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who hears you just loves your voice. And I'm like, oh my word, what is it? And people will hear accents because remember, I lived abroad, I
Mm-hmm.
traveled around the world. And so, I don't, but to me, this is how I've been speaking from a child. I've always spoken properly. I've always been like this, pronounce my words, properly. So I'm like, what it
Yeah.
is that you guys are hearing? But you're absolutely right. It's the person. It you know what it reminds me of, Angel? It's like clothes. You see
Mm-hmm.
clothes on a rack in a store, and
Yes.
different people will put it on and it will look differently on different
Absolutely.
people, but on this
Yeah.
one particular person they put that same thing on and it's just them. It's just them. It just fits them because it's
Mm-hmm.
meant for them. It's their
Yeah.
personality, how their body fits into the dress. It just comes out, So it's like that. Somebody, my LaRue, listen to me, LaRue. I'm going to bump you, LaRue, because you're spending too much time talking.
Oh my God, poor her.
Right? She says the French do things just for prettiness, like putting
Yeah,
in
I told her
sounds
that.
just because it sounds better. For example, what is that? Explain that.
Actually, yes. So this is true. There is, though, in French there is French grammar. We have a lot of grammar, and there is a
Mhm.
particular either a subsection of grammar or you can perceive it to be different, which we call euphony, and that literally means good sound. It's a Greek word. It means good sound, and we
Mhm.
have a lot really of these rules that mean that we have to alter the grammar, and sometimes it makes the grammar even be wrong, but we don't care. It sounds good. So I always like for my clients to remember, or my students, I like to tell them that there are three things that the French take into account when choosing how to speak. You have reality, grammar, and the prettiness. Those words are funny, and this is in this order of importance. So grammar trumps reality. Okay.
Mhm.
For example, in French grammar, we have two genders, masculine and feminine. And
Right.
despite the fact that humans have more than two genders and that things don't have genders, every noun has a gender in French, which is either masculine or feminine. You can't get out of it.
That come like Spanish. Spanish has
Yes,
the
exactly
masculine
like
and
Spanish.
feminine.
So grammar trumps reality. That's one thing to understand. But then we have these euphony rules. Sounding good, that trumps grammar as well. So for example, if you have a friend who is a woman, the word for friend in French is ami. If it's a man, you won't have an E at the end. And if it's a woman, you have an E at the end. But it will sound like
Okay.
ami. Now, if you
Okay.
have a male friend, my friend will be mon ami, because mon is mine,
Mm.
my in
Oh.
masculine. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
my in feminine is ma, because we also adjust all the things because French grammar is huge. So my
Lord.
in feminine is ma. But if you have a female friend, you will not say ma ami. We will say mon ami. Why? Because ma ami sounds bad. It makes two vowels meet, and we hate that. And we will do everything in our power, even breaking our beloved grammar, to not have that happen. So it becomes mon ami because of that. And in the
But
example
that
that
sounds like I love you, mon ami. That sounds
yeah,
you.
that means my friend,
It sounds like I
not
love
a
you.
girlfriend, just a
But it sounds
generic
like
friend.
that. It doesn't matter whether I translate. It just sounds mon ami. I've
Nice.
heard that. I think I've heard that in it was it Beauty and the Beast, the candlestick, who is French.
Oh yeah,
He said
yeah.
mon
Candlestick.
ami.
Yeah, true, true, true. Absolutely.
Yes, yes. It sounds like I
Yes.
love you. It doesn't matter what it translates to. It just feels like I love
But it
you. You're
might
like,
be because
oh.
of those rules of what all the stuff we do to make it sound good. Because perhaps you can agree
Mm.
that ma ami doesn't sound as good as mon
No,
ami.
it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. No.
And
But
sometimes we
this,
just add things that don't mean anything. So, for example, like Linda was just quoting a-t-il, the
yeah.
T in the middle of a and il. It is here for no reason other than the fact that we don't want to say a-il because it would make two vowels meet. So we chuck a T in the middle. It has no meaning whatsoever. It's just here for prettiness. This is French.
Listen to me. Learning languages, I have struggled with it. I'm going to speak on behalf of all the people who struggle with languages, and you know five.
Yes.
Now, I have been trying with Spanish for years. I think I'm pretty good. When I say pretty good in terms of pronunciation, is automatic for me. Like I mentioned to you when I was on your show, we changed hands in Trinidad. So we were
Yes.
French, not in this particular order, French, Spanish, and British. And so we
Mm-hmm.
have the culture, yeah. But
Yes.
listen, I find why you have to use so many words just to say what you want to say. In English, we just say something. It's easy. And then when I try, because I've tried, Angela, I've tried, done tests, and when I'm faced with a panel of native Spanish speakers, my throat is locked. The words don't come up here to come out right. And then my
Mm-hmm.
head is like, I'm chopping up everything to try to piece it together as opposed to it flowing. I said to
Yes.
myself, what is the best way for me to learn this thing? I think I should just be thrown in Venezuela or Spain, just drop me
That could
there
be an
and
option.
leave me. An immersion sort of thing where I have no choice but to but to learn the language, or drop me in France, Paris, whatever, and I'm forced. I don't know.
I did that with German. It is very hardcore. It was one of the hardest years of my life, the first year that I was in Austria, for many reasons. I do not recommend this method, but it's true that I had failed at learning German for maybe 10 years prior to that. Yeah, exactly 10 years actually. So it worked, at least for me. I do also know a lot of people for whom it didn't work. There are tons
Mm-hmm.
of people, for example, in Berlin, I used to work in a tech startup before I had my online business. And it's incredible the number of people in Berlin who do not speak German. In fact, when I moved there from
Wow.
Vienna, because I did Vienna, Berlin, Vienna, when I moved
Mm-hmm.
from Vienna to Berlin, my German actually went down, which is
Wow.
impossible. Like I was expecting my German, because in Vienna the German that they speak is a bit of a different variant. I was expecting
Yeah.
to like get to the purer German, the German that
German.
people more
Yeah.
expect, right, from Germany, from Berlin. The opposite
Yes.
happened. That's when I started to speak English mostly and to have my thought process be in English most of the time.
How would you recommend somebody who want to learn? I remember a guy when I was at university. He just had this thing for languages. He knew, well, that was some years ago, 12
Mm-hmm.
languages. And he could just spit this thing out. It doesn't matter, like switch. I'm like, what kind of brain do you have? He just
It
he
gets
just
easier
switched.
with each additional language. So that's that. You
That's
have to
what I
take that into
heard.
account. Yes.
That's what I
So,
heard. I am still stuck at the first one. I'm
well, I
still
mean,
stuck.
your second one, right? Because the first one is English, the second one is Spanish,
Well,
right?
that is true.
Or
Thank you
as you,
so much, Angel.
that's your
I
second one, right? Right.
tell you,
So,
you know that. Thank you. Yeah.
one thing that's the hardest is to think in a language. But once you unlock
Hmm.
thinking in your second language, it will become very easy to think in your third, fourth, and fifth, etc.
How
So
do
that's
I
important to
think?
know.
How do I think
No
in the
one has
second
been
language?
able to answer this question. There is very little research, and I was very surprised because I raked the internet in every possible way, but I never found a definitive answer to this question. So I set out to try and find it. I
Hmm.
have created meditation tracks on my channel that I have gotten great feedback on those tracks that people say that it helps a lot to just
Really?
make them feel more relaxed. You're more likely to think in French if your brainwaves are lower. You're more likely to achieve anything if your brainwaves are lower, to be honest. If
Let
you're
me
in,
let
if
me
you're in
go over
hyper
to your
alert,
let me go to your
it's
website while you're saying that. So
yes.
continue talking.
If you're in hyper alert, it will be harder. That's when your throat chakra will close. That's when you will just like shut down, and you can sometimes be like a deer in the headlights.
Mm,
But that is definitely an issue that you can have. Now, to answer your
mm-hmm,
question about like what is the best way to learn, personally, I have a 4-step method, and as I was
mm-hmm.
saying to you before, the first step is always selection. Like that is super important. You need to really, unless you want to spend decades doing it, because and some people do, some people just enjoy it for fun. But if you don't want to spend decades doing it, you have to select very carefully what you need to learn. And the second step is activation. That is basically among the things that you have selected, you have to activate some of that. So it comes with the idea of the reticular activation system, which is a process that you have in your brain. So that's a system that you know that from maybe from the law of attraction, that if you set your intention, you will attract these things.
That's right.
So that is the idea that you have here in the activation steps. So we do that with grammar exercises, for example. That's a way of doing it. Or when I have one-on-one calls, I will introduce vocabulary or grammar rules, or I will tell the students, okay, go watch this workshop in my member zone, because I also have like a large library that my clients and students have access to.
Right.
And that is for the sake of activation. So that's the second step. You need to have seen the thing at least once and roughly understood how it works. So the vocabulary, the grammar. Then the first step is immersion. That is super important. There's this thing that I call the daily French bath. It's because your brain is programmed to learn the language around you. When you think about it, how
Yes.
did you learn English?
I don't
Because it
know.
was around you.
I don't
Like,
know. I just,
it is automatic. Little children learn the language that's around them.
of
And when you're
course.
an adult, you still have this capacity. You might be blocking it, but the more of the language you have around you, the easier it will be in all cases. Now, if
You
you really
know,
block it, you have solutions like meditation and energy clearing and stuff like that, which I've
I
also
know
integrated.
I know a couple. She's from Spain
Yes.
and she's involved with a guy who speaks English. And of course, they have a child. And the
Mm-hmm.
child, she speaks to the child in Spanish,
Yes.
and the father speaks to the child in English.
Yeah, that
Now,
is
the
a very
child is,
frequent
yeah,
configuration.
and I agree with that. But what she's saying, he can speak and respond, and he can have a conversation amongst the three of them, going from Spanish to English, and so on.
Yes.
And but the thing is to write it, the written, and that's the thing with languages. You have to learn
Mm-hmm.
to translate. So conversational Spanish is one thing, then the written
Yes.
and the translation are the other aspects to it, because speaking is one thing, but being able to read it, if somebody presented a document in front of you and you having to write, is another story. There are so many
Yes.
facets to it.
But that is why the selection is so important, because a lot of people will not actually need to read and write. Some people want to just go to France for holidays and they just need to have
Okay.
small conversations. And if they don't need to read and write, then they shouldn't be wasting time on learning that.
But I want to do it. I want to do it all. I want to do, when I learn a language, I want to be able to maneuver. I don't want to learn just to converse.
But
I
that
want.
is fine as well. It's just you need to know your goals, and then if I were your coach, I would just find the shortest path from where you are now to your goals.
Oh, that
And by the
sounds
way,
good.
I need to finish the 4 steps because I only had like the first three. So that was
True.
selection, activation, immersion, and it's spelled SAIS because it's like to know in English. So like je sais means I know.
Oh.
And the last one is S again, and it's safe practice. Now,
Okay.
practice is super important. You need to practice. And I could have called it just practice, but I really like the idea of safe practice, and I want to emphasize that because if you're in an environment where you don't feel safe to practice, you will not be able to access your French skills and your new skills, etc. And a lot of people know much more French than they're able to speak out because they're just either not practiced or they're not feeling safe in the situation that they need to practice. And you need to have sort of a container, especially if you have a really high stress environment. Like if you're a diplomat and you're like in a country that's at war, and what you're going to say is going to perhaps cause people to be alive or not,
Yeah.
that's not a situation where you want to be making mistakes. So how do you achieve that? Well, first you need to practice in a space where you don't have this pressure. And then once you're practiced enough in a space that is safe, then you can go out and do it. And this applies to people in war countries that have to do with like people's life on the lifeline, but also it appears to it applies to every single person, because we are actually wired not to
Mm-hmm.
quit our, like, if you think of your language as your community,
Mm-hmm.
think of prehistorical men who or like, sorry, human people. Think of prehistorical people who lived in rather small tribes, that were up to like 100, 150 people.
Mm-hmm.
They would never have run to another tribe, because they would have gotten killed at worst, they would have gotten killed right away, or they would just have gotten rejected.
Yeah, yeah.
This is risky, but when you think about it, learning a foreign language, it is literally what you're doing, running to another tribe. So at the same time, your brain has the capacity to learn the language if it is around you, but if you perceive
Mm-hmm.
it to be foreign, you will resist it as much as you can.
The
And
resistance, the
right,
resistance. My body,
yes.
let me tell you what I go through, Angel. My body seizes up. But let me give you a little history, a
Hmm.
little personal
Yes.
history I'm going to share with you. When I was at school, high school, learning Spanish, I love the language. I do. I love everything Latin, everything Spanish. I'm even
Hmm.
a Latin dancer. I dance. I love the music.
Nice.
I love the food, everything. So when I was at high school, which was just a few years ago, just a
Hmm.
few, I was right.
Really, I thought you
And
were still in high school.
oh, oh my God. No, okay. Focus, Corine, focus. So, so when I was in high school, just a few years ago, thank you. I,
You look
my
younger.
te- thank, oh my God, we're going to end this show right now. And I'm going to move over to Vienna. I swear. But my teacher was very strict. Okay, very strict. Everybody feared him in the school. And here's
Hmm.
another reason why. He was also the principal of the
Oh,
school
wow.
teaching Spanish. I was one of his better students. I know he loved me. I know he still does. One of his better students. I was in Spanish and I was in art, painting and drawing. I had that class. And I was doing well in both. And there comes a point when you're in high school, you do all the different subjects and then you decide, you make a
Hmm.
choice, when
Yes.
you go to the higher levels. And so when I was in this class, I used to think, but I used to cold sweat. My heart used to race. I started to like black out. Like I just, all the words that I would have known and studied is
Hmm.
like, I was never calm and easy.
Yes.
And one day he came into the class. Of course, you could feel him and know him coming down the corridor before he comes into the classroom. You feel his presence, and he speaks no word of English from the time he comes through that door because it's Spanish class.
Hmm.
And he is like, he's rolling, rolling his R's. I mean, the man he's fluent, very, he could speak German too, for all you know, because he just has this guttural thing,
Yes.
when he speaks. And one day he asked me something, Angel. And next thing you know, this man's hands are around my throat.
Wow.
I am
That's
not
very
joking.
literal. Yeah.
Around my throat like this, choking me and shaking me. And I never knew. I mean, back then, it put so much fear in me, I didn't want to continue the
Hmm.
class. And the class numbers
Yeah.
started to dwindle. We had a big class, and everybody just
Hmm.
started falling off like flies
Yeah,
and
obviously.
no longer. But when that happened to me, I went home, I told my mother, and I said, I'm no longer continuing this class. And it was time for me to transition and make the choice. And I went into art. I never
Hmm.
regretted it. However, I always have this burning passion and light in me to continue my Spanish. I live amongst Venezuelans because a lot of Venezuelans have migrated and or emigrated here to Trinidad. So in my building, they are right here with me. And I say I have to speak it and it's, use the opportunity to get over this. But in between the high school and now, I have tried many times. I've bought online programs. I still have them to practice it.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize it was in an interview I was talking with someone. And it was only then I realized that is the trauma. Because every time I have to speak the words, I
Yes.
keep putting my hand by my throat.
Hmm.
And I never knew that I never made a connection that is because I was choked.
Yep.
The words cannot pass my throat
Yep.
every time. And I never con, and it was in an interview, it hit me when I was explaining. I said, oh my God. It just, and this is years later. I am now
It doesn't go
realizing
away. Yeah.
I am now realizing it's because of that choke and shake from that man. Everything connected. I cannot.
Mm-hmm.
The words it cannot pass my throat. And it's not that I cannot be fluent in the language. It's just it doesn't. And it's not that I don't know. I know that I know. I'm an intelligent woman. I know
Yeah.
that I know, but it's not coming here. And my question to you, which is why I put that context for those of us who have trauma associated with not only a language, but I mean, you're a language expert, but
Mm-hmm.
trauma from going to school. Teachers don't realize, and I'm saying this publicly to teachers because I too was a teacher.
Yeah.
We are one of the first influential persons in children's and in
Absolutely.
people's lives. And we have to be careful what we say
Mm-hmm.
to the minds of young people because it is so traumatic. You live with it for the rest of your life. It impacts you as an individual, as a human being, your perception of yourself, your self-esteem, your self-worth. It affects relationships you enter into. It affects your work relationships. It affects everything, and you don't even know because it is so deep in your subconscious. You don't even know that it's connected back to a trauma,
Mm-hmm.
as
Yep.
simple as that. And that is what is causing the repetitive toxicity and results you keep getting. It is linked. So my question
Yes.
to you is, a situation like that, somebody with my background, that experience, how do you deal with somebody like me to get
Yeah.
over a language?
So this situation, and first of all, I'm absolutely sorry that this happened to you, and I'm even more sorry because this situation is incredibly common. It's very, very frequent, and often, actually, I do work with women who tend to be in their 50s or 60s, and they have tried to learn French for a long time. And sometimes the reason why they haven't been able to learn French successfully is because of a trauma. It's extremely frequent. Trauma associated to a language or even sometimes associated to learning in general.
Mm-hmm.
And well, as we were discussing previously on my podcast, because we just had a 1 hour long conversation with who talks a lot more deeply about trauma. It's not released
Yeah.
yet, but I'll get it out as soon as possible. Uh,
Yes.
so you know that I have put a strong focus on my own life and on releasing trauma and healing. So I also wanted to bring that into my program. I have actually made two full workshops about this topic. One of them is about manifesting techniques, so it's much more technical, but I have one which is about
Yeah.
energy clearing. And that also
Wow.
comes with a special hypnotherapy track that was made by my hypnotherapist. So the person with whom I've done all the work, and I still work with her regularly. We've been together for 3 years and a half by now, I think. And,
Wow.
and, and,
Wow.
and she has helped me so tremendously that I went to her and I was like, okay, please record a track for my
Yeah.
students to help with this.
Yeah.
Now, if I also have an energy clearing track on my YouTube channel that you can access for free, so you don't have to join the program to test that. And it
Right.
really helps. You want to do it consistently. That's the problem with trauma, is that it comes in layers. So if you do it once or twice and you feel good afterwards, that's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Unfortunately, if it comes back next week, don't be like, oh, that shit doesn't work. It just comes in layers. Okay, you have to
Yes. Yeah.
keep doing it,
Yeah.
and you have to really commit to it. That's the problem with healing, is that it never ends, and you
Yeah.
have to commit to it. It's a lifelong commitment, but your life does get better and better, and eventually
Mm.
you will learn the language that you want to learn. You will have all the wonderful experiences that you want to have.
Yes.
It just takes some
Yes.
sticking to it,
Yeah.
but it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be hard work. That's, I don't
Yeah.
like the idea that it is work. Like, I think in our culture, work is overvalorized
Yes. Yes. I agree with you.
unnecessarily. And
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
sometimes you don't see another option than putting in the work, and that's fine. Like, I'm not saying never work,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes, well, very often actually, you can get the results that you want a lot faster with a lot less work if you only put a little bit more intentionality in it. Like, sometimes it just takes
Yeah.
leaning into the situation and using the things that you know works. So if you have a
Yeah.
hypnotherapy track that you know works, keep using it. And I think my
Oh
life gets
my
better and better
God.
because I have solutions now that I didn't have
Yeah.
5 or even
Before.
3 years ago. Yes.
I think too, you know, like I mentioned, there are Venezuelans in my building, and just hanging around them and
Hmm.
even seeing their difficulty in speaking the English language of my country. You know, they're struggling with
Yes.
speaking English. I'm struggling with that. It helps to make me feel it's okay. It's okay, you know, to be struggling, for us to be, you know, to have that challenge, but we will get over it one day at a time, one word at a time. You know, we will get over
Yes.
it. But the trauma is real, Angel. I'm telling you, the trauma is real, and
I'm well aware.
it stops you. And one of the things we need to look at in our lives is, you know, when we see other people progressing and going on, and we compare ourselves to other people, and we say, how
Hmm.
come we, you know, we have everything, we grew up in the same household, or we went to the same school, and we're not different. How come that person? It's a lot. To me, it's a lot of trauma that is blocking. There are a lot of blocks that are blocking us from
Yes,
moving
and
forward.
it doesn't mean that that person that you're comparing yourself to doesn't have trauma. They just
True.
either have a different subset of trauma, which does not
Yeah.
stop them from doing the thing that you would want to do, but it stops them
Yeah.
from doing other things that they would want to do.
Want to do.
Or
True.
perhaps they've just done a lot of healing. I mean, I see
Uh,
that situation now because I've committed to healing so much that I do
yeah.
have people who compare themselves to me and they're like, how do you like achieve all of that?
Yeah.
And I haven't. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
well, I did all of these years of self work and
Self work.
focusing on it.
Yeah.
It's very intentional and it takes years and it's
Yeah.
I'm still frustrated sometimes
Oh,
that
yes.
things don't work as well as I would want them to work. Like, you
Yeah.
know, uh, but it's commitment. It's
Yeah.
really more than work. I always tell whenever because if you go to my website and you're interested in coaching, you can book a call with me
Of
to speak
course.
about it, like a coaching application call. And on these calls, I always tell people it doesn't necessarily take a lot of work, but it takes commitment.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
really, really important to understand that you need to commit, you need to show up for the sessions. Like I try to be flexible to like, accommodate with the people's schedules. I work on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday with clients at the moment. So I purposely chose to work on the weekend. So it's easier for people to book their
Yes.
sessions with me. But you still need to show up. Like, unfortunately, I'm a coach, I'm not a magician. I cannot wield the magic wand and then boom, you speak French. I can only guide you into the learning process.
Yeah. Yeah. But you have to want it. You have to, yeah.
You have to
You have to
commit.
take the action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You also have a podcast. Obviously, we keep mentioning it
Yes,
on this
cultural
podcast because I
fluency.
was just there. And of course, it's all in French, is it? Is it all in
No, 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 no,
French?
no. Most of it
Oh.
is in English. The episode that I just recorded with you was episode 9, and so far we only have two episodes in French. I have another two
Mhm.
that are scheduled, but so far
Yes.
most of them are still in English.
Beautiful. And if persons need to
Yes.
contact you, they can come here.
Yes, they can go to the website. They can contact me.
Yes.
Yes,
This is
frenchfluency.net.
awesome.
And
Awesome.
I have my
Awesome.
YouTube channel as well, which I guess we'll put it in the description somewhere. It's Angèle Pretot, the French coach. Yeah, if you click on
Yes.
that, should be the
Yeah.
link actually.
Yeah. And you're on
The
Twitter, Facebook, YouTube here. Let's see.
Yeah, well, Facebook has just kicked me out. I might never have Facebook again. I might not have I might have to remove this. But yes, this
Why
is
did
me.
they
This
throw
is my
you
YouTube
out?
channel.
Why did they throw you
I think it's
out?
a bug, to be honest, because there's no reason.
Okay. 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 I hope you, when
So
I say
yes.
voulez-vous coucher avec moi, was it because of that?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you
Is it
said.
because you said, is it because you said voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Is it that?
No, I never uttered this sentence online before you did. You say I distract you, but I think you're the one leading me astray from the path.
Awesome. So I accomplished my objective. I accomplished my.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I do my best. I do my best. This has been a wonderful conversation. I have gone beyond 15 minutes with you because I so love you, Angel. I'm telling you. I love you. I love the French. I love everything French. You know what I dream of? Let me tell you my dream is
Hmm.
to live in France. I'm telling you, or Paris,
All
whatever,
right.
and be drinking wine every day, going to the vineyards and just watching out, you know,
Oh,
just
you will
looking at the
need a lot
green.
of French skills for that because people in the vineyards, they don't speak English. Or if they do, it means it's for tourists, and yeah, I don't want that wine. You want the good
But I
one.
have my plan down. Bonjour, voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Just say that to a winemaker, and then like he will teach the French language, or she, like there are female winemakers too,
Yeah.
but mostly male.
Yeah.
They will help you learn the French language little by little after
Okay.
that. Like start
So,
with that. I think that's a good
right.
plan.
I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
good with
it's
my
good to start.
plan.
Yes, you're good. Just go to a vineyard, like say this sentence, start with bonjour, then
Yes,
they'll say
yes.
yes, and then it just you take it from there.
From
And if at some
there,
point you're stuck, call me. I will coach you.
that
Okay?
is the simplest plan ever.
Yeah.
2022,
Hey,
here I
simple is
come.
better. Simple is always better.
2022, here I come. Angel, make sure you don't block me on your phone.
Well, I'm fine. You have my email. You have my YouTube channel. You have my website. Like, I won't be able to hide from you. So that's
That's
fine.
right. That's right. That's right. Okay. So we have a plan, people. You hear it here. For the first time ever, I have my plan, my French. I'm going to be sipping wine in the vineyard, calling up an
Yes.
Angel. Should I run into any issues? But I have a plan. And I would suggest
Yes.
everybody else follow the same plan. Let's see what happens.
Or a personal plan which fits your personal goal. I mean,
That's right.
it's all customizable.
Of
Yeah.
course, of course, of course. You could add more words, but I just have a simple plan.
Start with
Okay.
that. Like always start with simple,
Or
keep it simple. Yeah.
keep it simple and easy. No
Yes.
confusion. Right, right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Angel. I've learned so much. I can tell you are loved by a lot of people. LaRue 6356, Pamela Sorato, just me. I mean, my goodness, man. I had to threaten them on my own show. I had to threaten them. My goodness. Give me some time with the man.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, we invited them. I just like sent a couple of messages like to my audience, and yeah, it works. It works. It was so much fun. Like, thank you so much for having me. It was awesome. I had so much fun.
It's a pleasure. And you are not going to distract me. I am going to end my show as I normally do with all my guests. I am
Deal.
more focused now. I want to thank you so much, Angel, for being on my show. And we need to keep in touch. This is
Yes.
a budding
Absolutely.
relationship. We can't let this go. Thank you so much. I learned so much, and it's just so good to have a flowing, evolved conversation
Yeah.
with someone. This is awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me.